back again. So let's move into our actual workout now. So we're going to start with monkey squats. And if you have some dumbbells to hand, some tins or some water bottles, then I would like you to use them as we do this as well. So I'm just going to grab my beans. I do have dumbbells, but they're like heavy, so I could cope with doing them through these sessions. So nice and steady, feet hip distance apart. Remember, feet together, Mary Poppins, heels out. So as we go into our monkey squat, and we're going to do this to a 4 count down, hold at the bottom for 4 and come up for 4. We're going to also take the arms to a 4 count up in front and then bring them down. Remembering if you've got a shoulder issue, then you're not going to be doing this with your arms. And it doesn't matter if you don't have dumbbells, weights or cans. You can do it without. So nice and steady, we breathe in and we come down 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. For 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as we go through this movement, it's a fluid movement. We hold at the bottom for 4. That pelvic floor is activated. And then bring it up for 4. So nice and steady. As you're coming down, checking you can see your toes. Controlled. Nice and steady. So breathing in. Hold. Breathing out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. For 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and steady. Taking our time. And remembering that as we come up, we're going to be looking forward. As we hinge at the hip and we push forward, the head's going to be tilted forward. So our gaze is going to go forward. And then bring it up. 3 more for me. For 1, 2, 3. For hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. For 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and steady. 2 more. Let's have that last one. Let's have a single monkey squats. So you just go down and up. Breathe in and out. For 6 and 7. I'm going upwards. 4. Sorry, I started going the wrong way. 3. Last 2. And last 1. And bring it back. I'm turning to face you. What I'd like you to do now is right foot stays on the floor, bring the feet together, bend the left leg, big toe resting on the floor, single leg squats, really important. I feel like one shoulder's dropping now. So shoulders level, hips level. We can have that big toe resting on the floor, we bend the supporting knee, we come down, or we can have that leg floating and come down. I'm just going to change to a side angle so you can see what I'm doing. So big toe can be on the floor, hinging at the hips, coming up. So nice and steady, breathing in, breathing out. Keep going for me, I'm just changing direction. So taking our time, keeping the hips level, keeping the shoulders level. Remember I was saying, like, if you have a mirror where you're doing your sessions, it's really helpful because it allows us to see what's going on, how our form is. 4 more. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. Bring it up and then just give it a little shake. What we do one side, we need to do the other side. So feet together, big toe on the floor or lifted, floating behind, hips level, shoulders level, pelvic elevator, abdominal belt in place. Let's come down and up. So come down and up. So nice and steady. Keep it going. 4 more. And I can feel myself tilting to one side. 3. Remembering to breathe in as you come down. Breathe out as you come up. Last 2. Last 1. And come up. Give it a shake. Give it a shake. Okay. So when we're working on the one leg, we're working on our balance and stability as well as pelvic and hip stability. So now we're going to do something, still working on one leg, a little bit more challenging. I'm going to do it from a side angle first. So feet together, tailbone tucked under, pelvic floor, abdominal belt in place. Again, you can continue with your weights or not, or your cans. Big toe behind you. Bring your cans or your hands to your waist or your dumbbells. This time, we take a deep breath, we bend the supporting knee, we push the leg out behind us, extend the arms, and then draw it in. So if you think of, I need to concentrate whilst I demonstrate. So nice and steady. If you think of like, you know when you see the oil hammers, the oil drills going into the ground, it's kind of like that. We're kind of drawing out and in, nice and steady. Keep going with that for me. So I'm just going to move forward a little bit. Do it from here. So bending that supporting, like keeping the hips stable. And again, you're hinging from the hips. So as you come up, your head's going to be looking forward. As you come forward, your eyes are going to be looking out in front. So 4 more of those, and you're going to hate me on the last one. So making sure your big toe, little toe is sinking down firmly into the ground. And on that final one, so 2 more, you're going to take it out and you're going to hold it out for me. So we just take it out and hold it. So that supporting leg's bent, those arms are extended out in front, that leg's behind, pushing with your heels, not your toes. So I'm just changing direction again. So pushing with the heel, not the toes. So we're not ballerinas, we're pushing with the heel. We bring it in. Easy peelers. Bend the knees. Easy peelers. What we do one side, we must do the other. So tailbone under, pelvic floor activators, shoulder blades back and down. Big toe on the floor, hands into the hips. We then extend and draw. Now what I want you to be conscious of is as you go forward, keep going for me, that is the point, I'm just changing direction, that is the point where you may tip to one side. So I can feel myself tipping over. So I need to take my time, go slower. Because we want to be stable and strong. Do you see there? If you're watching me, just really, you don't want to be watching me as we go through this because I'm a wobbly Wendy this morning. But we want to be really slowing it down if we're wobbling. Or we can let that toe skim along the floor. So you can see, I can see myself just as I'm coming back, I'm just tilting. So it's really taking your time with it. 4 more. I'm certainly not perfect. Last 2. And let's have the last one. Hold it out. Pushing with the heel, not the toes, remember. And relax. Bring it in. Easy peelers. Easy peelers. Just moving back. So easy peelers. Step it out hip distance apart and sassy walk it out. Let the hips sway. Still keeping that postural integrity, that pelvic integrity as we go, and just swinging it out. Let it relax. Feet are hip distance apart. Remember, we can bring them together, turn them out like a penguin, and then just turn the heels down. Tailbone under, shoulder blades together, palms facing forward, elbows in tight to the side. Bend your arms to 90 degrees. Making sure that the wrists and forearms are in alignment and we're not dropping them down and we're not drawing them up. So they should be in a nice straight line. Dumb waiter. So we just take them out, inhaling, exhaling. So opening up into the shoulders. Very good if you're particularly rounded in the shoulders. Inhale, exhale. Nice and steady. And hear the rain coming down outside on the window. It's lovely. So 4 more. Last 3. Last 2 for me. And on this last one, just take it out for a moment. Just hold it there for a moment. Shoulder blades back and down. We've still got that postural integrity, abdominal belt in place. Draw them in and gently bring them down. Give me 3 shoulder shrugs back, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears and down. 2 more, 1 more, sorry, and then just change direction. 3 in the opposite direction, to just releasing in the opposite direction. This time, I want you to bring your arms up to shoulder height. So again, make sure the wrists aren't flopping. Make sure they're not turning upwards either. All I want you to do is make a small circle with the arms. So a small circle. So just maybe like a side plate size. And then take them forward. And then hold them still. Draw the arms up to 90 degrees, elbows at shoulder height. Remember, we can do this with or without weights or cans. We rotate down to shoulder height. And again, be conscious that the wrists aren't dropping as you do this, and then come up. So we rotate, we come up. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. So nice and steady, just for 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Draw it up, bring it all the way down. Give them a little roll back, a little roll forward. This time, feet's in hip distance apart. I'm just moving a little bit away from the wall. Feet hip distance apart, bend your knees. You're coming into sort of almost a semi, you're hinging at the hips. A very tiny, small range of movement, monkey squat. So you can see my legs are bent. I'm sticking my bum out as if I'm just resting my bottom on a bar stool. I'm gonna bring my hands just in front, okay, almost bringing them together, as if I'm trying to squeeze my chest. Core's nice and strong, pelvic floor's nice and strong. All I'm going to do is lift to the side and back. My head's looking forward because I've got that hinge in my hip, which means the whole of my spine is hinged forward. So I'm looking forward. And I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. Breathing in and out. Nice and steady. Two more. Last one, so prone flies. Gently come up. Again, roll your shoulders. Roll your shoulders. Maybe just give them a little shake. Turn your palms forward. Elbows in tight to the side. Tailbone under, postural integrity. We curl up towards the chest, but we make sure the wrist isn't flopping. Now let's make this more challenging to ourselves. So feet, draw them in, big toe on the floor or floating behind. So we're doing a bicep curl with a balance at the same time. And I bring that in because you're 2/3, so you're like hard as nails. Nice and steady, keeping that stability. Inhale, exhale. So we're working on knee stability, ankle stability, hip stability, working the biceps, showing control, core work going on because we're stabilizing, we're uplifting. So 2 more for me. And last one. Bring it down, and let's just do the same on the opposite side. So big toe on the floor or floating behind, hips level, shoulders level, nice and steady. So we've worked our chest, we've worked our shoulders, we've worked the back a little bit, working the biceps, we're going to do the triceps, we've opened up the shoulders, bit of scapular stability going on. Last 2. Making sure those wrists don't roll. Last one. And drop it down. So we've got 2 more exercises left before we move on to the floor. So scapular retractions, feet hip distance apart. Remember your gauge, feet together, turn them out like Mary Poppins or a penguin, and then turn your heels out. You're going to take your arms out in front, and we can do this with or without our weights, remember. We're going to draw the shoulder blades together and then pull them apart. So we draw together. They're kissing, they're smooching, and apart. So just for 8. So the shoulder blades are moving. The arms and shoulders are moving because the shoulder blades are moving, nothing more. So 4 more. Last 3. This is all about that scapular stability. Last 2. And last 1. And relax, bring it down. Staying in that position, feet hip distance apart. Let's hinge again at the hips. Knees a little bit soft, resting that bottom of the bar stool, elbows into the tie. I feel like I'm going to do the chicken dance, okay? So nice and steady, we're just going to extend, straighten the arm, and then bring it back. So straighten the arm. So this is working into the triceps, the old bingo wings, pelvic floor, abdominal belt. So all the time, we are working the pelvic floor, working those deep transverse abdominals. Remember, that's our waist cinch, holds all our organs in place, the abdominals, the obliques, the erector spine. There's so much going on in the middle. We are working, even though we're working the triceps right now. And remember, those eyes are looking out in front, so we're not dropping the chin to the chest. Remember that juicy peach under your chin. We don't want it bouncing away. We don't want it bursting all over us. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. And bring it down. Slowly come up nice and steady. Pop those down. And very gently, we're going to come down to the floor. What I'm going to do, because I think it should be okay. I was just debating whether to adjust the camera. So come to the end of your mat. Feet hip distance apart. Remember, you can use your little finger thumb. Take it over your toes. And it sits just in between tailbone and shoulder blades, relaxed and down. Let's inhale up, monkey squat, hands to the thighs, take a deep breath. As you exhale, walk it down. So we're coming down onto all 4s. My knees are beneath the hips, my hands are beneath my shoulders, my shoelaces are to the floor, elbows are slightly soft. I'm pushing my tailbone to the back of the room, shoulder blades are joined slightly together. And I am looking down. I'm not looking under and I'm not looking forward. I'm just looking straight down beneath me. Let's start with some simple tucks. So we just tuck under the lower back and lift. So tuck and lift. Tuck and lift. So nice and steady. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Just 4 more of those tucks for me. Nice and steady. Last 2. Keeping that postural integrity, pelvic floor in place. Last 1. Bring it back. So we're just nice and strong. Elbows always slightly soft, remember, as if the inside of the elbow is just smiling at the other. All I want you to do from this position is take a leg behind and tap, come back. So when it comes back, it comes exactly back to that 90 degrees. So the leg comes out, keeping your weight even between the 3 points as we do this tap. So what can happen is we shift onto one side. We don't want that to happen. We want to keep that stability all in the center. So even though we're challenging our stability by going off center, by taking the leg out behind, we want to be keeping everything stable in the center. So keep going with that for me. Just move my lantern because I can feel myself tapping it. So nice and steady tap. Now let's take the right leg back and let's hold it back. So let's keep our weight evenly distributed. Toes are tucked under at this point, pelvic floor's engaged, elbows are slightly soft. Can we lift that leg up? Push with your heel out behind you, so not your toes, heels out. We want to be keeping our weight evenly distributed between those 3 points. I can feel myself tilting to one side, so I need to redistribute my weight. Make sure I've got that pelvic elevator in place, that abdominal belt. Hold it there. Keeping that heel pushing out behind you, nice and strong. Bring it down. Other side, nice and steady. We take it out. So shoelaces to the floor on the opposite foot. Take it out, resting on the floor. It's tucked under on the floor. Before we lift it, let's make sure we're evenly distributed. Tailbone is tucked under, shoulder blades are drawing together. Core's nice and strong. Is that supporting knee still under the hip? And then lift, pushing with the heel, making sure you're not tilting to one side. Elbows soft. You might find one side is more stable than the other. That's okay. That's okay. That is quite normal to have an imbalance, okay? So don't worry if you do. Just try and adjust and correct as best as you can. Now taking a deep breath. As you exhale, bring it down. Take your knees as wide as your mat. Big toes come together. Come back into shell. Remembering if shell is uncomfortable, you can put cushions between your bottom and your heels, or you can stay with your knees facing forward, hip distance apart, and just push the bottom up in the air and let the arms reach forward. So we're bringing the head down between the arms. If you feel there's a crease in the back of the neck, use a block, a hard back book, or a cushion to rest the forehead on, tucking the tailbone under, and hold it there. Hold it there. So tucking that tailbone under all the time, keeping that pelvic elevator in place, keeping that abdominal belt in place. Now very gently, just turn your forearms over and begin to rotate your wrists in one direction and then the other direction. And then just bring them backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Roll your wrists into a fist, thumbs on the outside, and then release. And again, roll into a fist and release. Fist and release. And very gently, hands come down. We walk ourselves up. We're coming back onto all fours again. So knees hip distance apart. This time we're going to do a full plank. So remember, if you don't want to do the full plank or you find it tough on your wrists, we've got different options, okay? So let me talk you through the options. So we could have our hands, fingers spread out like so. We could have our hands into a fist, making sure the wrists and forearms are in alignment. If it still feels too much, we could come down and be doing our plank on our forearms. So forget what's going on behind me. I'm just going through the arm positioning at this point. So if we are in full plank, we will take one toe, two toes and hold, and we're in a nice diagonal line. If we're on our knees, again, we have the knees slightly behind us, they're not onto the hips. We let the pelvis come forward. We're not dropping the hips. We let it come so that we're on a diagonal line and we hold in place. So those are our two options. So we can be on the knees or be full. And we can be on our hands. We can be on our forearms. So if you're on the forearms and you're doing that knee option, your hips and pelvis are going to be naturally a lot lower, okay? But again, what we want is if you look underneath your body You should be able to see, if you're on your knees, you should be able to see your knees, unless you've got a big chest, or like me, you've got cake belly going on. Or if you're on your toes again, you should be able to see your toes, unless again, big chest, cake belly like myself. Or should I call it lockdown cake belly? I don't know. So, into position, nice and strong, stable. This is tough on the wrists, pelvic floor's engaged, tailbone pushing to the back of the room, shoulders joined together. Take your right leg back for me, then your left leg, and hold in place. So we are in plank. We are breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Nice and strong. This is challenging on the core, it's challenging on the back. So if it feels uncomfortable at any time, you just come out of it. So just hold it there for 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Bring one knee down, 2 knees down. Come back just into child's pose. Bum comes down, head relaxes. Don't let it flop. Keeping it sandwiched between the shoulders. Hold it there. Tailbone tucked under. Just have a stretch for a moment. Gently bring the forearms down, and again, just roll the wrists in one direction. Roll them into the opposite direction. Nice and steady. We're coming over onto our bottoms. So, on our bottoms, coming onto a side, we've got different options here. So you go with what feels right for you. So we're splitting our legs. I always say it looks a bit like a swastika. So you've got one leg bent in front at 90 degrees. Your knee is going to be just slightly in front, just slightly out at an angle from your hip. The other leg, knee is just out to the side, foot behind. Now, if this is uncomfortable on the hips, you can have one leg long, like so, or you could just do this with your legs crossed, and that's absolutely fine, okay? So if you're not comfortable having your legs crossed, you could just have them straight out, extended. Obviously, your range of movement is going to be smaller, but it's more important that you feel comfortable and feel right. If you've got your legs in that sort of like bent position, 90 degrees at the front, 90 degrees at the back, tailbone under, shoulders relaxed, we're aiming to have both bum cheeks on the floor. Mine don't normally get on the floor when I do this. I don't know if my bum's maybe grown because I can feel it's actually on the floor today. So all we're going to do, hands out to the side, we're going to slide down on one side, just staying on the hand to begin with. If we want to go further, we can come down onto the forearm at a point. So hips facing forward, core nice and strong. Take a deep breath. As exhale, slide, and we're just starting on that hand, we're going over, reaching over, so we've got that lateral flexion, pelvic lift, abdominal belt. We then use the core to lift us up, come back through the center, and we go to the other side. But obviously this range on this side is going to be much smaller. So again, other side for me, going across. And then bringing it back. Now, if we want to go further this time, we can come down onto, slide the arm even further. We may even come down onto the forearm. But really important that as you lift, it is the core that is lifting you up, okay? So it shouldn't be momentum lifting you up. It should be that pelvic floor, that abdominal belt, lifting and drawing you up. Nice and steady. Let's have 2 more. Controlled. And the last one. Do you know, I'm still, even when I'm not teaching in the classroom I've not got the opportunity to be distracted by people and lose count, I'm like, did I do 2 or was that the last one? So I apologise. Nice and steady, coming back to the centre. Let us change sides. So what we do one side, we must do the other. So we can have those legs bent, we can sit cross-legged, we can have one leg extended, or we can have those legs in front. We're aiming to have bum cheeks on the floor. I can't get both bum cheeks on this side, so one cheek must be fatter than the other at the moment. So nice and steady, hips facing forward, one hand down, one by the side. Let us take a deep breath. Exhale, come over, just on the hand to begin with, remember. What we want is, as we go side to side, is that balance between the two. So if we've done two where we're on the hand, we want to be doing two on the hand on the other side. And then we can go further. So this time, if we wish, we can slide out a bit more. Coming down onto the forearm, if we wish. Breathing in as we come over and breathing out as we come back. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And last two. Last one. And relax. We're coming over onto our bottoms. Now remembering, if we have any back issues, we can just roll on our side and just come down. If not, legs hip distance apart. Remember, we can bring the feet, even when we're on the floor, we can bring the feet together, knees together, turn the feet out like a penguin or Mary Poppins, heels out. You've got your hip distance apart. So sitting nice and tall, pelvic floor, abdominal belt engaged, connected. Shoulders back and down. Let's take a deep breath in. As exhale, let's gently roll the chin down, the chest, walk it down, and we are down on our back. We want our feet, so our ankles directly beneath, I'll just move those, our ankles beneath our knees. Okay, feet relatively close to the bum, but you might find, we're going to start with imprints and then we'll do our bridge, but you might find as we go into bridge that you need to take your feet further away. If you start getting cramp in the back of the thighs, back of the hamstrings, then the feet are too close, so you need to take them a bit further away. So in that position, let's take a moment. Are our eyes looking up? If they're looking behind us, we need to nod our chin. If they're looking in front, we need to lift the chin. So we want our eyes to be looking straight up. And remember, if you find that you make those adjustments and you're still looking behind or you're still looking in front, it may be worth getting like a thin towel, just rolling it up and placing it underneath the head. So you've got that neutral spine. We're starting with simple imprints, so just bring your hands onto the tummy. Make sure you've got that pelvic floor engaged and that abdominal belt drawing it down towards the spine. Let us just begin to tuck the tailbone up towards the ceiling. As we do that, the lower back is imprinted into the mat. We then imprint our mid back and our upper back. Then we release at the upper back, release in the mid, release at the lower. So you get that neutral spine as you come back. And we're just imprinting, my favorite exercise. So nice and steady, just rolling it back and forth. Imprinting. So when we've imprinted, there is no space between the spine at all. There is no space. Nice and controlled. And then as we release, we get that neutral spine. So let's just have 4 more of these imprints. The last 2. And the last one. And then bring it back to neutral. We're going to stretch our hamstrings. So if you have a strap or a belt handy or a band handy, just attacking myself with a block, you may want to use it. So we're just going to slip it around the foot. Remember, if you haven't, we can hold on to our trousers, our leggings, we can hold on to the back of the thigh. The most important thing is that that leg's nice and straight. Now this supporting leg, we can either keep it bent. So if we've got lower back issues, I'd say keep that leg bent. If we haven't got back issues, you may want to straighten it out. So I'm going to keep mine bent because it just takes the pressure off of my lower back. If we've got sciatica and it's bothering us, hug the knee, don't straighten the leg. So you're getting more of a stretch into the glutes. So it's not about getting the leg onto the chest, okay? This is about really getting into that hamstring, that muscle that runs along the back of the thigh. So we're straightening the leg out, and that might mean that your foot is further away from the body so that you can get that straight leg. If the knee is bent, we're not getting into that hamstring as much, so we want to get that hamstring stretch. And just hold it there. This is a developmental stretch, so we're holding it for around 30 seconds. Anything over 15 seconds in a stretch, it becomes developmental. So 15 seconds is just maintenance. Anything over 15 seconds is becoming developmental. So we're holding it there. Now, if we have no sciatica issues, we could flex the foot up towards the ceiling. And if we've got the other leg straight out, we could flex that foot as well and push the heel away. If we've got sciatica issues, then you may just want to keep that foot relaxed, or you may just be doing that glute stretch. So I suffer with sciatica. It's not active at the moment, so I'm fine stretching my hamstrings, but I know that if I flex my foot, it may twinge my sciatica. So I just don't flex my foot. So it's all about getting to know your body and what feels right and what's comfortable for you. You can just hear the rain coming down on the skylight in the loft. It's like being in a tent. It's lovely. Nice and steady. Holding it there. Very gently bend your knee into your chest. Slip that strap off. We're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. So it's really good to stretch your hamstrings before doing the bridge exercise, because it can reduce your chance of getting cramp in the back of the thigh. So, I mean, sometimes we can't because, you know, ultimately cramp is you may not have drunk enough water, you may be lacking in potassium. So sometimes I'll say to clients, you know, have a banana a few hours before, make sure you drink plenty of water. And sometimes you just get cramps because your body, the muscle's not used to being in that position, or in that position too long. So again, if we have sciatica issues going on, we're going to be hugging that knee. If we've got sciatica but it's not bothering us at the moment, we're keeping the foot relaxed. We can have the leg bent if we've got lower back issues. We can extend that leg out. We can have both feet flexed to change the dynamics of the stretch a little bit, or we can just have them relaxed. So obviously if we've got that sciatica, we know we've got sciatica, it's maybe not active at the moment, I would say leave the flex out of the foot. So just holding it there, holding it there. Just give my fingers a wiggle. Now take a deep breath. As you exhale, bend the knee into your chest, gently bring that leg down. We're now going to go into our bridge. So if bridge at any point feels uncomfortable, then I want you to just come back and do imprints. Hands by the side of the bum, eyes and nose again. If you've got a pillow under your head, that's fine for imprints, but it's not fine for bridge, so just take it out unless you've got that overextension in your neck and you know you need it underneath. So we tuck the tailbone towards the ceiling, imprint in the lower back. We begin to lift the lower back from the mat, the mid back, the upper back, and I want you to bring it up and I want you to hold it there. Bring your hands to your ribs. Make sure they're not splaying up to the ceiling. If they are, we need to reduce our range of movement. Let your hands come to the hips, feel that they're level, and hold it there. Then let the hands come down and just hold that bridge. So we're holding our bridge and we're breathing in nice and deep. Keeping that stability and strength. Now very gently take a deep breath. As you exhale, begin to lower at the upper back. Then bring the mid back down, lower back, and come to your neutral spine. Walk your feet together, knees together, and just give me a 5 past 2 and a 5 to 2. So we're going to do that again. squeaky noise, that's actually my feet rubbing together. So nice and steady, coming back to the centre, feet turn out like a penguin, heels out, we've got our hip distance apart. Let's go into that bridge and hold again. So took the tailbone up towards the ceiling, imprint the lower back, begin to lift the lower back, peeling it sequentially. Vertebrae by vertebrae, coming up and holding in position. Holding it there, nice and steady again. Bring your hands to your ribs, check they're not splaying up towards the ceiling. Hands on the hips, ensuring that we're still level. Hands come down and we hold our pelvic bridge. Holding it, breathing nice and deep, in through the nose, out through the mouth, that lateral breath. Pelvic elevator, abdominal belt in place. Juicy peach under the chin. Now begin to lower the upper back, then the mid back, then the lower back. Feet together, knees together, let the knees come over to a 5 past 2 and over to a 5 to 2. Remembering if you've got a low back issue that we keep this range small. If you want to go further with that gentle knee rock, you can do, it's totally your call. Very gently bringing your legs back to the center. Bring your hands, your fingers onto the hip bones and thumbs onto the rib cage. Turn your feet out like penguin and then the heels. We've got our hip distance apart. Gently draw your right knee into the chest. Now we can keep our leg like this at 90 degrees. We want the hip over the knee, or we can extend the leg up, okay? We are making a movement from the hip joints. It's the femur that's moving, making a circle. The leg is coming across the midline of the body. It can be bent or it can be straight, or as straight as you can get it. I feel like I've still got a slight kink in my knee. So as I'm doing this, both my hips are facing up towards the spine like spotlights, headlights of a car. And I'm just going in one direction. My core is engaged, my pelvic floor is engaged. And I don't want to go too far out to the side because then my hip's going to rotate out. So the fingers on the hips, let's just be conscious that we're not rotating the hip out. Change direction. Again, laterally breathing, breathing in, breathing out. Core strong and engaged. And then gently bend, bring it down. Let's do the same on the other side. So we bring it up, and it can be at 90 or straight. Let's make that circle going in one direction, keeping those hips like headlights up towards the ceiling. Change direction. Obviously I've got the wall in place here, so my range is much smaller. But again, being conscious the hips not rotating out to the side. And then very gently bend, bring it down. I want you to draw both knees into the chest, take your hands around the knees, and just gently sway side to side. Not too big, just loosening up into the lower back just a little bit for me. Nice and easy. Taking your feet down, you can either do this with your dumbbells, your cans, or you can do it without. It's completely your call. So I'm going to tip my beans. So I'm going to tip my arms and I'm going to have them directly above my chest. My palms are facing forward. And again, if you've got a weight in your hand, make sure your wrists are rolling in or rolling out. We want to have that nice steady line. I'm going to bring my right leg up to 90 degrees. And my knee is just above the hip. My core is nice and strong. As I extend my leg out, I'm going to take my arms back. Now, I'm only going to take them as far as I can go without my rib cage splaying up towards the ceiling. So that's as far as I can go. And then I bring them back above the chest and I'm just sticking on the same leg. So I'm taking that leg out and in. Now I may be able to take that leg lower than I can take my arms. But what we want to make sure is that we're keeping that postural integrity. So we don't want the spine begin to arch and lift up. We want to be keeping that neutral spine. So we're going back. Breathing out as we bring it in. Breathing in as we go back. So breathing out. Last two. Last one. Bring it down. Let's do the opposite side. So again, taking that leg up, taking the leg at 90 degrees. And all I'm going to do, making sure that knee is over the hip, is again coming back, ensuring that I don't arch the spine, begin to lift the back, split the rib cage. Lots going on, lots that can go wrong in this posture if we go too far. So it really is about keeping that postural integrity, that pelvic integrity, nice and steady. So last two. Actually, I'm lying. Let's have two more. Last one. Bring the leg down. Bring the hands down. Roll over onto your front for me. Ooh. Gently coming over onto our front, letting the hips settle into the mat. So forearms are resting on the floor and the eyes are looking slightly out in front. Okay. Fingers spread out. What we're going to do is, this is our starting position. We take a deep breath in. As we exhale, we lift up and then gently come down. So we're lifting up, coming onto the forearms. Now, if that is uncomfortable, then I want you to just stay here and just stay looking forward, because you're still getting that stretch into the abdominals and lengthening, okay? So otherwise, we take a deep breath in. As we exhale, we come up. Bring it down. And again. Exhale. Two more. Last time. Gently bringing it down. Take the hands on top of one another. Let the head rotate to one side and let it just relax there for a moment. Just relax there for a moment. Allow yourself to just settle. Shoelaces to the floor, hips are into the mat. And then let's turn the head in the opposite direction and let it just sit there for a moment. Now taking a deep breath. As you exhale, gently turn the head back to the front. Draw one foot towards the bum. Now remember, we can either grab our socks, our leggings, or we may be able to grab our foot, or maybe we'll be using a strap and just hold it there. So we want to feel the stretch in the front of the thighs. Hips and pelvis are pressing into the mat, and hold it there for me. Hold it there. Then let us take a deep breath. And as we exhale, gently bring the leg down. Let us change sides, do exactly the same on the other side. Keeping the hips tilting into the mat. Breathing deeply. And then gently let that leg come down. Hands come by the chest. If we've got a back issue, we can just roll onto our side. Otherwise, toes tuck under. We're going to push our bum back onto our heels. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, lift up, push back. Coming back, coming upright. Toes can stay tucked under or not. I want you to just swing the arms side to side. We've been on the floor for a little while. Let us just bring our heart rate back up. And make sure you've got that pelvic integrity, that postural integrity, the abdominal belts in place. Let the arms relax. Which side is the weaker leg? Right or left, left or right? Take it in position. Toes tucked under gives an assist. Shoelaces and floor makes it more challenging. Bring your hands to your hips. Shoulder blades back and down. Take a deep breath. As exhale, push up, step in. Just turning towards the front, feet hip distance apart. Give me 3 rolls up and down. Oh, last 2. Oh, last 1. And relax. Give it a little up and down. Tailbone under, pelvic floor engaged, juicy peach under the chin, and you're all done. Give it a little wiggle and then straighten it all back out. Keep it nice and stable, and you're all done. Well done. Hopefully you found that good. Remember, constructive feedback is always welcome, and have a great day.